We are super, super excited to show you guys this. So over to you, Alejandro.
Thanks very much, Chandra, and thanks everybody for joining. Um, so I couldn't agree more with Chandra. This has been an incredible month for us, and there's been so much work that the team put into this, and I couldn't be more excited to share this with all of you. So I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to get a thumbs up if you can see this. All right, so let's get started. We're super excited to showcase Anton today. Anton is MindsDB new autonomous VI agent that thinks, acts, and learns. And this is all open source, and we're going to go take you right through it. But before we jump into it, I want to remind why we did this. And over the last decade, I think data teams have been working with a lot of tools to be able to get answers for your data. There's dashboards, there's SQL editors, there's BI tools. But in the end, whenever we actually need an answer for a specific question, sometimes and most generally, data teams are still the bottleneck. And the reason behind it is because they're busy. We have collected so much data over the last decade, or probably 2 decades now, that whenever you need to answer, they need to get involved. And that probably hasn't changed. Just let's kind of get into an example of how this happens nowadays. You have to make a decision. You need data to back up your decision. And if you don't have access to it, you're just going to go to a data team. If you file a ticket, that ticket is going to get into a queue because these teams are busy. You might, go in into your organization and get somebody to help you out. Then that ticket gets to the front of the line. You build it. You get the answer. They build a dashboard, and by the time the insight comes back, it's probably too late. The problem was never the data. It was always the gap and the time between the question and the answer. So there you go. At the end of it, you have a dashboard that right laid, and then it's going to continue to live there until nobody ever sees this again. That's what we want to change. What if you could just ask? What if you can just go for a plain English question and ask? And you get an answer, not a chatbot that guesses, not a query builder, just a real companion, a real analyst, a real agent that reads the data, explores the data, figures out what's in the data, figures out what's the pattern, what do you need to ask, what do he needs to do to get to the answer to the code. He writes that code, he runs it, and he explains what it found. That's Anton. That's our open source autonomous business intelligence agent, and we couldn't be more proud to showcase it to you. So now we've seen definitely a lot of noise around AI data analytics over the last few months. And we kind of really want to make sure that we're explaining why Anthem's different and how it works comparing to like other things that we have in the market and even all of our agents that we built before in MindsDB. So the first thing is, let's be 100% clear. Anton is not a dashboard generator. It's not specifically a prompt or an agent that just gets text to SQL and then just explains what it saw from looking at the data. Anton really complains how a data analyst thinks. It's a coworker with a computer, not a chatbot with opinions. And the way it does that is that whenever you ask a question, it will plan, it will orchestrate, it will write real code, it will iterate, it will fetch, it will explore, it will test, it will validate, it will do all of these things so you can get an answer. And every step of all this process is always visible, so you can always see where the answer, where that data came from. So how it works? You first ask the question in plain English. It will plan. It will figure out what are the steps that I need to do to be able to get to this answer. But this kind of works in a very magical form. It's this, the plans are hypotheses. Anton starts thinking, what are the ways that he could actually answer the question? He writes the code. He does SQL and Python inside the Scratchpad, where we're going to talk about that in a second. He executes that code. He looks at the data, figures out if he needs to do something else, auto heals himself, figures out there's problems, and if he needs to do another loop, it will come back and plan again with the information he just learned around it. Go again, write some more code, and eventually you get to the answer and you actually see the insight with charts, dashboards. It can do all of this magical stuff. But in the really cool thing and the wow factor is really how it can go in and understand that data and understand where it's coming from. So I talked a little bit about the scratchpad, and the scratchpad in the end, I think it's our most important or the coolest feature inside Anton. The scratchpad is Anton's execution environment. It creates an isolated environment where it will run and test the SQL and Python. It runs inside Anton. It all these variables and states persist, so you can have different kind of context carries forward every single step. Every line of the code is visible. So think about this kind of a notebook that Anton is able to use. Is able to use to learn. Is able to write code. Is able to write SQL queries, and it will able to use it to analyze. The coolest thing about the Scratchpad is it's incredibly versatile. If you need to run some sort of analytics, or if you need to do uh, time time sequences or plans towards the future or visualize what's going to happen, Py Anton can run all these different type of components, install the dependencies if it needs to be done to answer the question, and he will be able to get that answer for you regarding all the tools that's available for him. Since this is so flexible, this is really how Anton can actually get to the question, can really fix himself and go into the actual data to find the right answer. The other cool thing really is that how do we make this work? And this is also by using a lot of memory. Anton remembers. There's pretty much four main things of how Anton memory works, and kind of go talk about this. One's are rules, definitions, or topics. In a way, Anton will always remember if you tell him what he needs to remember. Always exclude test accounts from your calculations. Active users do more logins per week. So it starts taking into account all these different things that will include, of course, business logic, personal preferences, how he wants it to work. He will learn them and remind them. All of these things make Anton smarter every time, and it makes every session faster once he starts learning. And how do we make every session faster? Because it remembers what's happening on every session. There's past sessions, so we'll look what was the previous, and there's a lot of lessons learned in memory. After each session, Anton will automatically remember what was the key thing and the key thing. So we're going to do a demo about this in just a few minutes. But the main idea is that Anton remembers what's important, remember what it learned from the data, remember how it got to an answer. So the next time that you go through it, it can use all these memories to get to those answers and to get to the answers and the insights faster. All right, let's do what we're here for. Let's talk about the demo. But before we just really jump into the demo, there's two main ways to get started. One is BYOK, so bring your own key. So in this sense, you pay your provider directly. You're going to see it once we got there, but you pay your OpenAI and Entropic key. Databases and credentials are stored in your local vault, and your provider's quota and private is what you're going to be paying. We have MDB.ai managed. This is the second path, and of course, it's the one we recommend. You sign up at MDB.ai, and then you really get all the benefits of having a managed an AI managed data system. You have a static IPs for whitelisting. So if you have to whitelist data access to your whitelist data access to an agent, this is the way to go. We have credential vaults, audit trails, security, governance, multi-model routing. In the end, all the real big benefits that happen once you really start looking into more professional data and more professional services, MDB.ai Manage helps out. Also, this is $35 a month and the first month for free. And here's the code for everyone who's watching this video. Get MDB Community 100. You'll get the first month for free and you'll be able to access all the tokens that we need for this one. We're including 5 million tokens for the first month. So give it a go and test and get the benefits of this one. So speaking about the benefits, it's really MDB.ai is built for teams. It's built for data analysts and things that really require a little bit more sense. The static IP gateway, which is what I was talking a few seconds ago, you're able to access data in a more secure manner. Full audit trail, every query, every step, full sessions are logs. Multimodal routing. We're going to talk about this, but when Anton executes reasons and things, we're actually routing to different models that actually makes it easier, faster, and cheaper. And you also have your token wallet where you can control all your tokens and wallets and expenditures that happen around this part of the thing. So how to get started? As we mentioned, Anton's open source. Just go to github.com/mindsdb/Anton. Here's a cool command to get started. And also remember to go to mdb.ai, manage, go mdb.ai, sign up, get your first month for free, and discount code. We're incredibly excited to get everyone to go into this, start testing, and we're super happy to see what your people are going to be building with this. All right, so to close this up and before we actually go into the demo, I want to kind of just say that it's usually that the data has the answers. And the question would always be like, who do I have to ask this question for? So Anton is this. We're super proud. We're super happy to see this. And I can't wait for everyone to go in and start testing it. So, all right. This was a bit of the demo presentation side of things. Now let's really jump into the impressive things. Let's see how Anton works. To share term. All right. So first things first, we need to get Anton installed. So this is going to do a demo of our CLI environment. I am going to start right from scratch for everybody's starting. So let's get right over here. So my first command is going to install Anton. Anton, if you use the scroll command, it's going to install automatically. And there we go. I have Anton already installed in my computer. So the next step is I'm going to take Anton, and this is how we get Anton started. All right, I want to read the policies, not today, and I'm definitely going to accept the terms and privacy policies. But there we go. This is how Anton works. It's our CLI. It's going to tell us how to get started. And the first piece of it is which one to start. We have three options here. Mine's Enterprise Cloud, which is our MDB.ai enterprise server. So I'm going to go for that one. I'm going to press 1. Um, I do have an MDB API key, right? For most of you, if you don't have an API key, here you're going to click no, and it's going to redirect you to MDB.ai, where you're going to be able to sign up. Remember to use your discount code so you can get your first month for free, and you can start really testing uh, Anton. So I do have an API key. I have right here, so I'm going to go. And as you can see, no need to delete this API key because we are obviously taking this API key seriously and it's hidden. So at this point, Anton connected, and now it's going to go in and say, like, how do you want to do our first run? This first run is for everyone to be able to see, like, what are the capabilities off the bat. So I'm definitely going to click run to see the first demo and the first question. So this is going to be kind of a bit of the first examples of what Anton is able to do. It's going to start running. It's going to be fetching live data and crunching numbers. The question that we're doing here is pulling NVIDIA versus Bitcoin data from the web, and it's going to build a 5-year investment comparison dashboard. All right. I'm going to just quick stop sharing over a second. And I'm going to see and then share the actual dashboard that you just got built. All right. So this is a dashboard that Anton just generated based on the data for NVIDIA versus Bitcoin. Well, you can see this was just generated right on the fly by code, and this is kind of a really cool dashboard that requires a lot of information. This might be a little bit shocking, right? You say like Bitcoin uh, had only 6% return over the last 5 years, and that is kind of true because like exactly 5 years ago was the peak of the first round of Bitcoin that got somewhere to around 64,000 and today's around 70,000. So of course, definitely there's been kind of a big of a of up and down for that one compared to Nvidia. It's been like more of a solid return. It generated that all these type of different data, monthly returns, smaller returns on Bitcoin, drawdown from peaks. I was worried like if you got $100, how did it move it on the time? It did Monte Carlo analysis, annual returns, even generated summaries, generated a decision. All of this based on the data that we have, on the data that's publicly available from NVIDIA and Bitcoin. So you'll be able to kind of go see this on your own. So quite impressive from a web perspective of like what Anton can do. So I'm going to come back to my terminal. There we go. And I was able, right, to see to pull those 5 years from data from Yahoo Finance might take, if I had money to put down, NVIDIA take wins this one. I guess everyone in AI would probably do the same thing, but let's go into that. So now we have seen what Anton can do for asking a simple question. But what we really want to be able to see the power is when you start connecting data to it. So to be able to do this, we're going to do the command dash connect. And it's going to tell us like what are the different data sources that I want to be able to connect. For the sake of today's demo, I'm going to connect to a MySQL database. Uh, then it's going to ask me what are the credentials that I need, what's required and what's optional. Do I need instructions to obtain these credentials? I don't need them, but Anton will help you out get your credentials if you don't have them. And also, do I have these parameters? I do. So let's go really quick. And just for this full example, I'm going to connect this database from scratch. So, all right, just let's put in the credentials over here. There we go. Port's going to be the same. This is the database. Got a user. I'm going to do the password. Again, password hidden, so no need to revoke this credential. SSL, SLCat, certificate for keys. All of these ones are optional, so I'm just going to go straight and hit enter, and then it's going to test this connection. So what happened here, right? Like now Anton stored these credentials to a local vault, and it's worth highlighting that we never sent these credentials to an LLM. So these credentials stay private, they stay local, and they're able to go in and do anything else. So let's really go in and start asking questions. So what's this data set? This data set involves a company that I advise myself, and usually it's full with like type of data. And the one thing here is like at this point, Anton doesn't know anything about this data set. So if I just start asking questions, Anton's going to be able to figure out where to get the answers. So I'm just going to click first one. How many users do we have? And what we're going to be seeing here is our first example of how Anton works. It's starting to run the Scratchpad. So it's starting to run code, exploring this database and counting how many users. He found it and count them and starting to actually look at the columns. It's breaking by looking at the columns to figure out that he have active and deleted status. So he's trying to really kind of understand how does this data set works and what is inside. So this is kind of really cool. Like in just a few seconds, it found where was the table that had the user information, how many users are there, and how everything is. And it gave us an insight. Nearly everyone is active. So this is cool in that sense, but I wouldn't say it's quite powerful. But like let's really go and dig out actually like really kind of in a way harder questions that would be hard for an agent to actually find. So I know that there was an increase on users in Q1 in 2026. Why did this trend happen? So the interesting thing here is that once we're looking for this answer, this is more of an exploration question, right? Like the answer's in the data, but to be able to figure it out, it has to go and explore and understand how are users actually subscribing? What is happening? What's in the data to kind of give us this analysis? And now it's really kind of able to understand. So it's pulling monthly users, it's doing the quarterly roll up, and it's going to be able to go in and figure out this information. And I think like that's what's really interesting from that perspective, that it's doing this all on the go without knowledge of this database. When we look at the end of it, we'll see like that all these things are starting to create memories. So Anton knows like like when I want to count users, in which table is this information? When I want to, for example, figure out the trend that we're going to be able, it's going to be able to figure out where all those things happen and make this cluster. So now he's continuing, right? Like he's running in scratch pads and it's going into this pattern of like actually. So there we go. So we see the thing like there was an increase, organic state flight, every one of the, all right, here we go. So this is the complete answer. So we got a quarterly trend that's increasing compared to Q4, and it was and Anton was able to figure out that it was driven by the referral invite surge. Referral signups tripled from one quarter to the other. He was able to understand what was and what was the different sources. So this is a kind of a really cool thing. It gives us the non-obvious kind of thing. Those February 4, February 9, and February 23 bursts are too sharp to be kind they each like a specific message was sent to a list. You can cross-reference those campaigns. Let's see. But what I really want to do is like I want to build a dashboard that I can share with leadership. There's a lot of typos in my question, but no worries. Anton will be able to figure this out. He's asking me a couple of things like, what do you want? I'm gonna say I want to figure out like explain user growth in a HTML dashboard. All right, got it. And now he's actually going to start building it now. So to build a dashboard, he's going to go in, look at the data, and start really building it from scratch. And I'm going to show what that dashboard looks in a second. One of the cool things that we've seen our team internally is also kind of push Anton to the limits. We've seen Anton create live dashboards with live data coming in. We've seen him create servers. So it really pushed Anton to the limit, and we're super excited to see what are people going to be able to do with this. Gonna give it a few seconds while he thinks, but it's starting to do the same process again. It's running the scratch pads, it's pulling the data, it's building, and it goes in that loop to be able to see, all right, the previous scratch pad acquired what it needed, what's the part of the plan, and he goes and validates that all this happens as it goes. All right, just gonna give it a few more seconds. While we wait, I think there's also there you go. It's building and writing the HTML dashboard. All right, and it's ready. So I'm just going to stop share this one so I can share with you guys the dashboard just got built. There we go. So right off the bat, Anton just started putting like what was the different th this dashboard is saying like all the major information they just pulled in. It has insights that went into it. We got all the signups by the type of different months, signups by quarter, signup source, refer versus organic, like which are coming, the actual referrals are coming to these users, and daily signups. So really kind of cool that I just built this on the flat and I can share this with my team or share with somebody else that I want to be able to do. All right. And last before this, I'm just going to go back into Anton to just showcase one more thing. So as we've seen, like a lot of all these things have like generated some really interesting insights. So if you go to Anton, go help, always it's good to go and show like what are the different commands that we have. And we're just going to show like what's current status of memory because this is kind of important, right? It's going to figure out that this memory status is an autopilot, so Anton is deciding what to remember. And just of this session, I already have rules and lessons of everything that we've been through together. So you can see how Anton is actually generating this content of memory and lessons so he knows exactly what to do. And that's how it improves over time and gets into faster capabilities. So I think, Chandra, this is it, what I have for the demo and explain of Anton. I can't really stress how excited we are to get this on the hands of everybody. So see what you can build, connect your data sources, push Anton to the limit. We can't wait to hear your feedback. And we really do think that this is a really powerful agent and we're really amazed what we can do. And I just can't wait to see what all the community and what people are going to be using Anton for. Go for it. Download Anton. GitHub.com/MindsDB/Anton.
Amazing, amazing, Alejandro. Thank you so, so much. Before we get into the questions, I would just like to give over to Jorge, our CEO. Jorge, do you perhaps have anything to add or any message you would like to give to our users?
Um, no, I think that we're very excited to have Anton released to everyone, and it's been really a pleasure to build it for what we've always wanted to do, which is answering questions over all kinds of data. So please try it out.
Thank you so much, Jorge. Okay, we have already one comment from Abid Hassan that says, just amazing work. That's incredible. Okay, we're going into the questions. If you have any questions, feel free to type it in the Q&A tab. The first question is, can Anton write data? I asked it to. I gather that's a question about data generation. Alejandro, that is for you.
Yeah, so Anthony's very powerful and it will be able to do things that like are kind of requested in that capability. So yeah, 100% go in and test and try if you want to write data. It can definitely do that from scratch. So yes, the answer is yes, and we kind of very curious what you can see to see what you can do when Anton writes data when you need it.
Amazing. Next question is Anton able to monitor my data and warn me if something unusual happens?
So the powerful thing behind Anton and how it goes with thinking about the scratch pads and its capabilities is that it's not limited to just ask or work as a simple question answer agent. It will be able to execute multiple things like running a server to monitor live data, to go into that characteristics. Since it's writing the code, it can write the code to monitor your data. It can write the code to connect and send emails. You can write the code to connect to Slack. So it's really kind of powerful in the way that it can actually do all these different type of things while you start building and playing with it. So short answer is yes, but it's not only that. It's really like how far can you test it and how far can you take it with your imagination and what you actually need to get a BI autonomous AI agent with your data.
Amazing. Next question is how can we share and collaborate on Anton projects and dashboards?
Yeah. So that's one of the features that's coming in a second. But once you'll be able to see what the app Anton was generated a dashboard, right? That dashboard gets saved in your local, so you can use that dashboard and send it over as an HTML file, and people can like take a look at that one. One of the main things that we're going to be working on is in a roadmap. It's a little bit more about shareability and how to be able to continue where other users work. We see the power that after you spend some time with Anton, it's really cool to be able to get to a really specific insight or an answer that it feels magical and feels wow. And at that point, as humans, we want to share. So we're definitely working on improving the way you can share your data, not share your data, share your answers with Anton, and even continue workflows if somebody like got to a specific point and you want to continue to like digging deeper or share some insights. That can be done. But for now, you can totally share your HTML dashboard to the thing that happened just directly.
Great. Next question is, can I use Anton from Slack?
Yes. We've seen integrations of our teams that have built dashboards and connections towards Slack, toward different type of messages, because Anton, in a way, can connect to different type of APIs to be able to send messages, to be able to receive messages. So you can build those servers and keep them living and running. So that's one of the things that you can communicate it with. Primarily, I think like for developers and testing this capability, our CLI and our apps that are coming out soon is going to be one of the best ways. But we see like what the trend on how to communicate with Anton, and we don't want to kind of just restrict it to our actual surfaces. We think like there's better ways that can be done, and Slack is one of them, and WhatsApp is one of them, and we're just going to improve the way we can talk with Anton over time.
Amazing. Next question is, can Anton be used like the additional agent created via SQL on MindsDB? And can it be integrated in Python microservice where it serves as a smart agent that clients can interact with?
All right. So this is a kind of a big question, but yes. So for the first part, yes, you can definitely use Anton as a kind of a traditional text to SQL agent. That's like guess one of the kind of what I like to call it the kind of basic functionalities of it, and it will work really great. We have seen a lot of improvements over our previous text to SQL agents that can go into that perspective. And how you want to use it, like server, the characteristics, that's why in a way it's open source, right? Like you can use and deploy and like put it wherever you want to be able to have it on your own work stream. That could definitely be done and achieved. So it's really more about like what you can envision and how you want to deploy it and how you want to be able to work. But Anton is going to be living there and it's going to be working there and it's going to be able to generate the answers or generate the SQL for the answer and the insight that you're looking for.
Okay. And then our last question, which is a great question. What's the difference between Anton and Claude Code?
That is a really good question, right? So the thing we think about our main differences is that, Cloud Code is incredibly powerful and you can do a lot of stuff in there. But when we think about a little bit more about Anton, is like, what is the intersection between autonomous agents and data? And we really built Anton around that combination, around how to be able to answer questions, how to be able to access data, how to create dashboard, how do you get into a more specific type of way to form. And one of the main things that we realized was like that you kind of need to have the visibility to see where this data came from, to be able to trust it. So that is why the scratchpad for Anton is really important because you can see everything that it wrote. You can see how you got to that answer. In a way, Cloud Code is going to build, Python scripts and artifacts that are going to live in a way kind of hidden, not necessarily. You can go look at them, but it's not about how you get there. So for Anton, it's about data, it's about showing up the answers, and it's about like the main difference that goes in there. So really encourage people to, try Anton and also try on Cloud Code to kind of see the main differences between how you're able to interact with an autonomous agent that's specialized for data and business intelligence.
Great. Next question is, if I let the agent run autonomously, what exactly prevents a bad prompt, a bug, or hallucination from causing destructive actions on my machine?
That is a really good question. All right. So one of the things that we have, of course, is like in terms of destructive core and that, like on MDB.manage, we are planning to have a little bit more like resource capabilities to be able to constrain agents characteristics so we can do with a database. But the first thing is like we need to have like IGN from the beginning. So whenever you share database credentials, let's make sure that it's only read and doesn't have write capabilities. That's always one thing you can make to get it to that perspective. So and that's kind of the skin security part of stuff. So in terms of the hallucinations, right, and the things like those happen with LLMs and those happen with AI systems. And I don't think that Anton is uh, not able to generate hallucinations. It might, and it probably can. But the one thing that really kind of makes the difference is that if you're able to spot one, you're able to see that, you're able to kind of explore by looking at the scratch pad, by looking at the SQL queries, watching what to think to be able to kind of figure out what was there and what was wrong. And then if you get to that point, by able to continue to ask questions, to correct Anton, to tell him, hey, you know what, like this is not what we want. Can you actually go check this? Go in. You can direct Anton in that way that it will use that kind of hallucination or that error to actually learn what was the mistake, what was the error, so it doesn't happen again. So that's like I think one of the kind of biggest kind of differentiations and best things about Anton is that when it makes mistakes, right, it learns from them and it actually be able to correct. And so that's kind of a really virtuous cycle that we see once you really start using Anton for a long term, how I'm able to correct and get better answers and queries.
Great. Our last question is, does Anton have document generation properties like PDF, Markdown, CSV, etc.?
Yes. Anton can do a lot of stuff. All you just have to do is just ask him. You can generate PDFs, you can create dashboards, you can create CSVs. It's what you need. Again, like it's not that it just comes with it because we can. It's because Anton has the capability to write his own code, to understand the question and plan to how to be able to deliver the artifact that you need. So if you need markdowns, he knows what he needs to do and writes the code to be able to generate an MD file. If you need to do a CSV, he knows how to like generate and build a code to generate the CSV as an answer or as an artifact at the end of it. So looking forward for people to like really kind of test these capabilities and see how far. And please do share feedback. We're really eager to see what you can build with it.
Yeah. Just to add, I've also asked Anton to create a button for a downloadable PDF file, and it did it, and it was amazing. So you'll definitely be able to do that. Okay, so I've also shared in our chat the launch blog for Anton. In it, there is a link to our GitHub repository where you can download Anton. Also, a link to our native Mac application where you can install Anton, our Anton app, and also check that out as well. We also have a free promotion code in the launch blog where the users get free credits, and that's only available to the first 1,000 sign-ups. So if you'd like to use Anton for free for the first month, please make sure to check out our launch blog. And we have one comment, which is just feed Anton with its own code base to just providing the repo URL. I think Anton can improve on Anton. That is true. So this webinar will have a recording. You will be able to watch it later on YouTube. This is live stream, so it will be available on YouTube as well for you to check out. Thank you so much. Okay, I think that is it for all of the questions. Alejandro, do you have any closing comments?
Thanks, Andre. I think I kind of like went through this. Like, it's really powerful to see what you can get with Anton. And to me, it was to really kind of make myself kind of a believer in Anton was when I started running into it. And without a lot of context, Anton was able to explore and figure out what was in the data and figure out the patterns that goes into it to able to answer the questions. So it was really impressive from that characteristic. And once you're able to kind of understand how he has that power and the capability, then using that and your imagination into building what you need to do and to create a server and to create a server with live data coming in and to just generate dashboards, get reports and emails, look at your Gmail. Like it just can do so many things. It's just really magical. So can't really wait for people to get to go in and test it.
Yeah. And just to add, that Anton is so amazing. It's not just a product that we have put out there, it's a product that even our internal leadership team has been using in their day-to-day work. So it's something that we can trust, that is super reliable. So we know that it's something that you will also love. In the words of Jorge, our CEO, download it. Try it out and download it. I think you guys will love it. So feel free to check it out. Let us know on our Slack community what you think of the product, your experiences. If there's any issues that you run into, feel free to send us a message as well. We are more likely to help, and let us just know what you think. I want to thank Alejandro for his presentation and the demonstration. And I also would like to thank all of the attendees for attending and everyone that was watching. And thank you to the MindsDB team for creating such an amazing product. We are super excited for what's to come for MindsDB Anton. And we have our other CEO, Adam Carrigan, also joined as well. So thank you to Jorge and also Adam for this amazing product and allowing our team to be part of something amazing. Okay, I think that is it. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy your weekend. Have yourself a lovely one. And remember, download Anton. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Hi, everybody.